Assalamu alaikum. Give yourself another round of applause. We're going to move very quickly to the next portion of our meeting, and to introduce our next entertainment, we're going to bring up Brother Enoch Muhammad. Give him a round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Black power. All power to the people. Listen, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan blessed us to come on this tour for one purpose and one purpose alone. He knows that hip-hop is the communication vehicle for the youth. No matter where we go around the world, you see hip-hop being listened to by the youth. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to bring something special for you today that was not only something lyrical or something that had a catchy beat to it, but we wanted to bring you inspirational information that's put in a poetic prose to make you think in such a way where you know that no matter how low you are, how low you might feel, you know that you are on that road towards being exalted because you are a great and mighty people. So without further delay, I want to bring up not just a brother who I grew up with in the music business, not just a brother who's my artist and I'm his manager, but this is a brother who's in the liberation struggle, coming from Chicago, coming from the Robert Taylor projects in Chicago, a brother who not only feels the pain of the people and the poor, but a brother who has a desire to put the message in the music so that it can reach to the youth. So without further delay, give a hand to my man, D.A. Smart.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Assalamu alaikum. I got two pieces I want to do for you tonight, Houston. The first song is called Black People Ain't Prejudiced, We Just Mad. And the second one is the official song for the Millions More movement. And it goes like this. This is about D.A. Smart and his destiny. This is about what's deeply invested in me. This about what they kept as a mystery. What is it about y'all? Black history. Back in the days when black men were slaves, we can go off and rage because we was locked and chained. They constantly remind us without the boot. They put stuff on TV like Roots. I'm sitting there watching them with my hand on the trigger. My anger is getting bigger as they call me nigga. They whipping me and whip me almost every day, trying to change my name to Toby when it's Kunta Kinte. Then I look to my left and there stand my kid. So I scream my name Toby so then I can live. I can't take it no more, so I shut off the TV. Now if a white man mess with me, he'll be 6 feet deep. That's my, listen, brothers and sisters, I don't want you to clap, I want you to listen. All right? It's the words I want you to hear. It's not just for dance. All right? And it goes like this. If a white man mess with me, he'll be 6 feet deep. That's my mentality, brother, for what they've done in the past. They got rid of us then and still trying to get rid of us, men. Just to show you can know that white people ain't it. Emmett Till got killed just from whistling at a white snitch. They killed blacks and whites without thinking. He's so-called free slave, they shot the mess out of Lincoln. Yo, and he changed his ways. They killed Malcolm X. 2 years down the line, Martin King was next. The struggle has started. It ain't near over yet. Now Houston understand why DA upset, because they'll take our inventions and say the white man made it. They know we got them faded. They got too much pride to state it. I hate it. Locked and chained us on a crowded boat. We peed and messed on each other. They laughed and made jokes. They took a black girl, hung her up on the cross. She was 8 months pregnant. Her hope was lost. Arms spread it wide. They cut a baby from her stomach. It fell on the ground. They crushed it and stomped it. Now how in the heck you expect me to take this? The chains was just too heavy for my wrist. Now what have we done to accept this punishment? Living for thousands of years in bondage. They treat us like animals. They locked us in chains, taught us to speak their language, and then they changed our names. But what did we do when they came to our land? We welcomed them in as though they were some black men. They bribed our leaders with rum and gold, and with that bribe, black men sin was sold. So they bring us to America, treat us like rats. But when they were in Africa, was it like that? Nope. I figured it out. The whole meaning of prejudice, the meaning of the word is just plain jealous. They jealous of the fact that blacks was here first. See, the white man came when the black man was cursed. All whites are evil. I treat them politely. I just mistreat those that mistreat me, because they really think that whites are supreme. See, they don't feel you are equal human beings. Now that's the reason blacks think they're bad, but black people ain't prejudiced. We just mad. All praise belong to Allah. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I appreciate it. Because it's too much dance and rap. We need to bring it back to what it's supposed to be. Sending a message to our people, like in the drum. We send a message to our people. Now I'm going to need your help, Houston. We are rallying for the Millions More movement. Is that right? It's time for us to do something for ourselves. Is that right? We can see that it's time for us to do something for ourselves, because they ain't going to do nothing for us. So I'm going to say the hook to the song, and I want you to help me out by saying, it's the Millions More movement. And it goes like this. It don't matter what set you on, what block, what city you repping from, what coast, anywhere in America, there's a movement that has begun. It's the Millions More movement. Y'all with me? All right, when I point at you, you got to come on with me now. We got rhythm now. The message through the drum. Let's do it. It don't matter what set you on, what block, what city you repping from, what coast, anywhere in America, there's a movement that has begun. It's the Millions More. It don't matter what church you love, what religion you consider you certain of. If you a Muslim, Christian, etc., it's time to put it all under one roof. It's the Millions More. It don't matter what class you from, middle class, upper class, lower class, or none. This time bring your wife, daughter, and son. It's a family reunion. Headed up by Farrakhan and every organizing leader in the area, joining hands because they seek and they care for us, showing strength and the power of one. All right, sounds like we ready. So let's do it to a little music. Run that. The drum. No, sir, the next one. Now we can clap. Come on with your brother, y'all say it. It's the Millions More movement. Say it's the Millions More movement on 3. 1, 2, 3. Say 1995, October 16th, we set the fire. A million black men, we came alive, cause there's some things we need to get rectified. You can say it was a national call, how we peacefully assembled on Buster's Mall. But just from the Million Man March, little spark in your heart, put a charge in all of y'all. Yep. It spun the million women, million moms, million youth, and a million family march, and a million reparations, and a million workers too. Even though we had a lot of marches, the condition of our people is not improving. A lot of our communities are worse than before. It ain't no time for a march, we should start a movement. We need an ongoing, sustained, constant flow, a divinely inspired thing for the downtrodden, some for us that's more. We need us a coalition that could go against the injustice, Joe. And if you claim you a leader, be a leader. Every time the people see you, be on your post. It's time that we take the minds of the best we find and unite them quickly. Otherwise, our lives we have will just demise in the plight of these enemies. So I'm blowing my trumpet loud to attract the crowd. Let them know what the news is. October 14th to the 16th, being watched for the Millions More movement. It don't matter what set you on, what block, what city you prepping from, what coast, anywhere in America, there's a movement that has begun. It don't matter what church you love, what religion you consider you certain of. You a Muslim, Christian, etc. It's time to put it all under one roof. It don't matter what class you from, middle class, upper class, lower class, or none. This time bring your wife, daughter, and son. It's a family reunion. Headed up up by Farrakhan and every organizing leader in your area. Joining hands as they seek and they care for us, showing strength in the power of one. A lot of people be asking, smart, can you tell me what's the reason we've been having a march? First of all, it's not a march, it's a movement, God. And the fact that it's a movement set it apart. From the Million Man March in 95, and plus the spirit of the march to stay alive in us, still living hard in our daily lives because we still feel we ought to wait for whites to handle the solution to our problem. When they part of producing our problem, can't see the solution to solve it, is we gonna have to solve it on our terms. Can you see where I'm going with that? It's not a problem with whites, it's a problem with blacks. And the problem, we must take charge and solve it, cause now responsibility is on our backs. It's a wonderful thing to think of every black man, woman, and child and sing. Cause with that, we can all reach the dream of king and do things human beings won't believe they see. We are the most beautiful people, as long as we are in tune as a people. Unity is all we need as a people, and overnight we'll have our freedom. It's the Me Is More movement. It don't matter what set you on, what block, what city you reppin' from, what coast, anywhere in America, there's a movement that has begun. It's the Me Is More movement. It don't matter what church you love, what religion you consider you certain of. You a Muslim, Christian, etc. It's time to put it all under one rug. It's the Me Is More movement. It don't matter what class you're from, middle class, upper class, lower class, or none. This time bring your wife, daughter, and son. It's a family reunion. It's the Me Is More movement. Headed up by Farrakhan and every organizing leader in your area. Joining hands cause they seek and they care for us, showing strength in the power of one. It's the Me Is More movement. Is that what time it is, Houston?
It's finally time.
Thank you, Houston. I appreciate it.
For the truth.
No doubt.
It's time for
I want to let y'all know I have that CD on sale for you tonight.
It's time.
Only $10. It's a whole album for you, brother. A positive, uplifting, and conscious rap. Right in the middle hour when you go out, come out there. I'll be out there signing autographs. Purchase a CD from your brother so I won't have to go work for McDonald's, all right? Holla at your brother. All right, and if you can't get it tonight, go to www.dasmart.org and holler at your brother that way. I love you, Houston. Thank you for your time. Peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Y'all, let's hear it again for D.A. Smart. It's the Millions More movement. All praise is due to Allah, brothers and sisters. We want to move quickly because I know you're very anxious to hear from our leader. We have a few more speakers that will come up, and right now we want to bring up our international representative, the man who has traveled all throughout Africa working on behalf of truth and justice, representing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. It is my pleasure to bring to this rostrum our brother, our international representative, our ambassador, Minister Akbar Muhammad. Give him a round of applause.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, first to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Minister Robert, and the national staff, the laborers, I want to thank you very much for your hard work that you've done, not only in bringing the brothers and sisters to this auditorium, but the work that you've done for those displaced brothers and sisters from New Orleans. And I think the staff here deserves a warm round of applause. They've been making it happen. I just want to say, it'll take me a few minutes. You just heard Brother D.A. Smart, and he was giving you what is called conscious rap. There was a very great black man who in the 1960s from North Carolina, his name was Robert Williams. Every week he used to come up to New York and attend the mosque and listen to Malcolm X speak. And he would go back to North Carolina and he would work on the black people in North Carolina. And then when the enemy saw that Robert Williams, a black man, was not afraid of them, and if they threatened him, he was going to get a gun and stand his ground, they accused him of kidnapping a white family. And he knew that in the state of North Carolina, a black man kidnapping a white family, you were doomed. So he's made his way out of North Carolina to Canada. And from Canada, he made his way to Cuba. And from Cuba, Fidel Castro, who knew that we were in a struggle for our lives, gave him a radio broadcast called Radio Free Dixie, where he was broadcasting to black people in America, bringing them to a level of consciousness. And then when the heat was on him because he was in Cuba, he left and went to Africa, to Tanzania. He stayed there for a while in a community of black people, especially the Panthers, who had moved to Tanzania. And from Tanzania, he made his way to China. And in China, he raised his two sons. They had the dubious distinction of being the only black men who could teach the Chinese language when he returned to America. In 1969, he made a deal and he came back to America. And in New York, we had a bookstore. And he walked in the bookstore and he said to me, my name was Brother Larry at that time, Brother Larry, do you have a record called A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell by a brother named Louis X? And I said, Mr. Williams, I don't have the record. It may be around. It was a record that Minister Farrakhan had made back in 1957. And he said to me, listen, he said to me, the lesson that I've learned in China is that culture is a part of us, music, dance, and song. He said, but Miles said, if there must be culture, then let it speak to the revolution. If there must be dance and song and plays, when people are struggling, let it speak to the revolution. He said, and when I was in China, I could only think of this record that Louis X made, Louis Farrakhan now, called A White Man's Heaven is a Black Man's Hell. It was music, but it spoke to the struggle of the revolution. Now I'm saying this because you just heard D.A. Smart. Hip hop is a cultural expression. But if there must be a cultural expression, it must speak to the struggle of the masses of our people. It cannot be a music that brings us down. It cannot be gangster rap, shooting and drugs and killing and calling our women out of their name. If there must be music, it must not be the dirty South, it must be the clean South. If there must be music, music must speak to the struggle of our people. And in closing, in New Orleans, they have a tradition when someone dies. And when they die, they bury them. The African tradition is that you celebrate their lives. We must celebrate the lives of the thousands that died in this catastrophe. But there's what they call the second line. And that's the music, the cultural nuance speaking to the struggle of life. So D.A. Smart, I want you to keep it up. And maybe you will set a new trend that if there must be hip hop must speak to the revolution. Thank you. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum.
Let's hear it for Minister Akbar Muhammad. At this time, we'll bring to the rostrum another strong soldier here in Houston, Texas. He's been on the front line fighting for our people, our brother Kofi Tahaka of the National Black United Front. Receive him.
Brothers and sisters, I want to bring you greetings on behalf of the officers and the members of the National Black United Front and our national chairman, Dr. Conrad Worrell. I want to see you raise your strong black fist in the air as we say, Black Power, Black Power. And we say Uhuru, which means freedom. Brothers and sisters, earlier today, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that in the Millions More movement, there was room for the revolutionary. There was room for the nationalists. There was room for the Pan-Africanists. And that's the wing of the movement that we represent. I see the students in here. We are all exposed today, whatever our ideology or whatever our belief is. Because of Katrina, we're going to have to stand up and act out these principles. Am I right? The students are exposed, the activists, the so-called leaders, and everybody is exposed. And the Millions More movement provides us in the nationalist, revolutionary, and Pan-Africanist movement room and space. I will call to your attention this as I take my seat. In the Millions More movement platform, all points are important. We are particularly interested in point 6 and point 7. 1.6 is for full and complete reparations. How many of you all want full and complete reparations? Let me see your black fist in the air if you want full and complete reparations. Number 7 says the freedom of our political prisoners. Most of us don't even know. We know Nelson Mandela, but we got our own Nelson Mandelas right here in America. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan went and visited one of them. His name is Mumia Abu Jamal. We say for the political prisoners, free them all. Black Power.
Give Brother Kofi another hand. Black Power. Oh, brothers and sisters, we're approaching that time. And it's my pleasure to bring to the rostrum my brother and friend, my mentor here in the Southwest region, our regional minister who will present to you our leader tonight. He does not have to introduce him because you know him and love him. He didn't put New Orleans on the tour when he came to the Southwest region, but we're thankful to God that even though under these circumstances, he has brought New Orleans to Houston, and New Orleans will be in Dallas, and you all will hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we're thankful to God that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will be with us. And so without any further delay, we want to bring up our strong regional representative of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You know him here in Houston. You love him. You know his work. Let's bring up our regional minister, Robert Muhammad. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum once again. Brothers and sisters, if you stand for me, what are you going to do for Farrakhan? You better jump. On behalf of Muhammad Mosque number 45, the Southwest Regional Headquarters of the Nation of Islam, my laboring staff, I want to thank you for coming out and supporting us. I want to thank each and every one of you for all that you have sacrificed in support of Mosque 45. Even though you won't wear a bow tie, you don't wear a headpiece, you're always there for us. We thank you for that. And that's why we stand for you. Brothers and sisters, there's no way to introduce the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan because his 50 years of work have already spoken for him. It's time now, brothers and sisters, that we as this generation stand with Farrakhan. He's a man of integrity. This is all I want to say to you. The only march ever been put on in the history of America that you can go on the internet and find an independent audit of that. That's why we asked you for money, because Farrakhan's a man of integrity. You can trust him. You know him. He'll stand for you and he'll never sell you out. Brothers and sisters, I love you and love him because he's here. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Receive him, Houston. Farrakhan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we give him praise and thanks for his mercy and his goodness and his raising of prophets and messengers, giving them guidance for those members of the human family that have strayed from his straight path and lose his divine favor. We thank Allah, God, for Moses and the Israelite prophets and the scriptures of the Torah and the Old Testament. We thank him for Jesus and the Gospel and the New Testament. And we thank him for Muhammad and the Quran. Peace be upon these worthy servants of Almighty God. I am a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I could never thank Allah enough for His intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great guide or Mahdi, who came among us and raised one from among us to lead, teach, and guide us to become that which we are destined to become, as the scriptures have foretold, that the bottom rail would come to the top, and the last would become first. And thou shalt no more be the tail, thou shalt be the head. And this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our sight. We thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters of Houston and elsewhere, with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
To my dear brother, Minister Robert Muhammad, and to the believers of Mosque number 45, and to the LOC. I personally, Brother Minister, want to thank you and the believers for your tireless effort on behalf of our brothers and sisters displaced by Katrina. Words are inadequate to say thank you, but every act of kindness that you and others have done to ease the pain and suffering of our brothers and sisters, know this, that a God of justice and mercy will repay the good that we do tenfold and more. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like to thank the mayor of Houston, the social agencies of Houston, and mainly the faith community of Houston for what you have done to open the doors of Houston to the survivors of Katrina. This is what an American city is supposed to do for another city that has become an area of misfortune. I want to thank Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz and the activist New Black Panther Party for the work that he has done. He drove buses into the affected areas and brought people out. The American people rose to the occasion while the government failed. The American people showed more compassion, more concern, because the dollars flowed from black, brown, red, yellow, and white to the victims of this misfortune. I am sure that, in fact, we know that there has never been a disaster that has received so much help from the public as Katrina's disaster brought out of the hearts of the American people and the people of the world. The problem is that racism, which has poisoned the bloodstream of religion, education, politics, jurisprudence, media, every aspect of life in America has been affected by the evil of racism. So it is unreal to think that the ugly face of racism that exists systemically throughout America is not in FEMA, is not in the Red Cross, is not in the United Way, and these other charities. So we would be remiss in our duty if we didn't become exceedingly vigilant to make sure that the money that the American people gave to the victims of Katrina gets to the place where the American people desire that money to go. Secondly, and equally as important, when the United States government, Congress, first gave 10.2 billion, then added 50 billion more as a start, $62 billion of the taxpayers' money, then we need to monitor this very carefully, because already signs of corruption have manifested in that proven thieves have gotten no bid contracts to clean up and do the rebuilding of New Orleans and Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi, while there are strong brothers and sisters displaced that have a vital interest in seeing their cities and towns restored. But already there are people coming from all over America into New Orleans to get the money that rightly belongs to the citizens of New Orleans to help rebuild their city. Now, I would like to start with New Orleans and the levees and the disaster and work backward to show why we need a millions more movement that organizes us as a people to take charge of ourselves and our communities. It is clear that Katrina laid bare America before the world without even a fig leaf to hide America's shame. If you read the reports from other newspapers around the world, they were flabbergasted that America, the Lord of the seas, the master of space, this great power that can send armies around the world, was unable to serve her own people, particularly the poor of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And the pain of all of this is that it is on the backs of the poor that this nation was built. It is on the backs of the black that this nation was built. And it is we who populate the armed forces that protect America and are fighting an unjust war in Iraq. So much so that the National Guard and their equipment that should have been in Louisiana was in Iraq. Now you tell me, what is the role of the National Guard if it is not to guard and protect the nation?
Go ahead, brother. Tie it up. Come on now.
Here is the National Guard sent overseas, and their armories cleaned out of that kind of material that was so needed to get the poor people out of the city.
That's right.
When you say evacuate the city, that's an order. Fine. There are some that had automobiles that could get out in time. There are others that had money and could get out in time. But the poor, and New Orleans is filled with the poor. 54% of the people of New Orleans don't own their own homes. They are living in houses where they pay rent to absentee landlords. And now that those homes have been inundated with water and probably will end up being condemned, contractors are running from Texas to New Orleans, stopping the building of homes in New Orleans, taking lumber and whatnot from building homes in New Orleans to in Houston, moving it to New Orleans because the big bonanza. Will be there. And where will the displaced brothers and sisters go if homes are built that they cannot even afford to live in? New Orleans is a city that is a strange town. It's called the Big Easy. When life gets that easy, there's a problem there, as the French Quarter will show us. Who are the real people of New Orleans? You have the whites. Most of them got out. And even the few that were left, they told me when they got to the Superdome, all of a sudden they were gone. And just mainly the blacks were left in the Superdome. Who are the Cajuns? These from Nova Scotia, French speaking, that came down too and are part of the apartheid society of New Orleans. So you have the whites, the Cajuns, then the Creoles. Then the blacks. And these are classes, and the blacks are in the worst and lowest rung of the socio-economic ladder, then the Creoles, then the Cajuns, then the whites.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe God ain't pleased. Maybe this caste system that pits us against each other has to be destroyed and something new and better put in its place. I'm sure Willie Lynch would be very pleased with the structure of New Orleans.
Lay it out. Lay out your policy. Come on now.
Now, there's been some talk about the levee. I read in some newspapers that it was a mystery what happened to the levee because Katrina had passed by. And after Katrina had passed by, there was joy. Even though the wind damage was terrific, there was joy that the levee had held. And all of a sudden, people say they heard explosion. And some of the quick responders to justify criminal actions said it must have been gas explosions leaking from some of the houses. But when we visited with Mayor Nagin on last Sunday, not yesterday, but the week before, he told us there was a 25-foot hole under one of the levees.
That's right.
A crater
That's right.
under the levee.
That's right.
Suggesting. He didn't say what it suggested, but it was clear that a 25-foot crater. And then I got something from a Hal Turner. It says New Orleans, Louisiana divers inspecting the ruptured levee walls surrounding New Orleans found something that piqued their interest. Burn marks on underwater debris chunks from the broken levee wall. One diver, a member of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, saw the burn marks and knew immediately what caused them. He secreted a small chunk of the cement inside his diving suit and later arranged for it to be sent to trusted military friends at a U.S. Army forensic laboratory at Fort Gillem, Georgia, for testing. According to well-placed sources, a military forensic specialist determined the burn marks on the cement chunks did in fact come from high explosives. The source, speaking on condition of anonymity, said, quote, "We found traces of boron enhanced fluoronitramino explosives as well as PBXN-111. This would indicate at least two separate types of explosive devices," close quote. The levee ruptures in New Orleans did not take place during Hurricane Katrina, but rather a day after the hurricane struck. Several residents of New Orleans and many emergency workers reported hearing what sounded like large muffled explosions from the area of the levee, but those were initially discounted as gas explosions from homes with leaking gas lines. If these allegations prove true, the ruptured levee which flooded New Orleans was a deliberate act of mass destruction perpetrated by someone with access to military-grade underwater high explosives. Now, Farrakhan, you say that this was done. Well, I tell you what, since it's out there now, why doesn't the media send investigative reporters? Why don't we have set up a special commission to investigate these alleged rumors? Because the Holy Quran teaches us that rumors should always be taken to those who have the ability to find the truth out of the rumor, either to dispel it or bear witness to the truth of it. If this rumor is true, then somebody is not only guilty of mass destruction of property, but they are also guilty of mass murder. Now, Tucker Carlson and some of the others said, Farrakhan said that this was blown. How irresponsible could a man be to say something like that? Listen, let me tell you something. Do you think that we who have lived in America all our lives don't know that there are some white people who are capable of this kind of evil against our people? Let me give you the history. There was a flood like this in 1927. And in a book titled The Rising Tide, it mentions that the levee in 1927 was dynamited so that the poorer section of New Orleans would suffer and the poor and the black would be displaced. And this was done in boardrooms inside New Orleans. Plotted against the poor. And then at gunpoint, blacks were forced to rebuild the levee and the town. But today, if we don't demand the return of the blacks who live there and the poor who live there to rebuild their city, maybe it'll be a new city that will never again see a black mayor, never again see a black police chief, and hardly ever see black people, except if you're going to play music, sing and dance to make white folks happy as they come to party in the Big Easy. Now, brothers and sisters, we have no idea of how Satan's mind works. we can't think on the level of evil that Satan is capable of thinking and acting on. So to you and me, that somebody would deliberately blow up the levee to create that condition is almost unthinkable. So if somebody said, there goes Farrakhan again, a conspiracy theory. But if you go to church or read the Bible, the devil is real. And the devil is always involved in a conspiracy to wittingly or unwittingly involve people in acts against the good of themselves. So tonight I want to talk about dumb devils and wise Satan. Dumb devils and wise Satan.
Go ahead, Mr. President. Go ahead.
Now, what is a devil? Devil is a human being that has the potential for good, but submits to the lower passions of self, and then works against good and knowingly involves others in rebellion against God and good. That's a devil. Well, anybody could be a devil. We have been experiencing some white folks that surely weren't saints. Not with what they did to us and the Native Americans and to each other. Those are devils. They have used their intelligence for the purpose of rebellion against what is good. Well, the Bible in the book of Revelation says Babylon is fallen. Is fallen because it has become the habitation of devils, the hole of every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. Now you have to ask yourself, I think preachers, you are in error when you say everybody is a child of God. Stop lying. Stop lying. Listen. Everybody has the potential to become a child of God, but you are what you submit to. Now I'm going to say it again. Everybody has the potential to become a child of God, but you are what you submit to. In the Bible, in the book of Job, the sons of God, the book says, came to present themselves to God. And it said the devil came also with them. Now they were hanging out with the devil. So it's clear that they were like him. Otherwise they would have recognized him. Doesn't that make sense? If you are righteous and you hanging out with a devil, you would easily see the difference between you And that party, it's like Jesus' parable of the wheat and the tare. At a certain point, the wheat and the tare look just alike. That's why Jesus said, no, don't pluck them up yet. Wait until the harvest comes. Because the wheat will bear fruit while the tare can't. So then you can go in and separate the wheat from the tare. Well, now here's the sons of God hanging out with the devil. Now when they get before God, God recognizes Satan. And he said, yo, dude. I mean, the modern translation, y'all. No, he said, whence cometh thou, Satan? And Satan said, I came from walking up and down, to and fro in the earth, seeking whom I may devour. Now, if Satan is walking up and down, to and fro, eating folk up, then each one of us has to look in the mirror and ask, whose child are we? Now, brothers and sisters, Jesus asked the disciples to stay with the children of Israel, focus on the lost sheep. But then at a certain point he said, go ye into all the world and teach this doctrine to every nation, kindred, and tongue. Well, some of the Jews that were with Jesus, they were very exclusive. And they didn't want to share the good news with the Gentiles. So when Peter ventured out to share the good news of the gospel with the Gentiles, the Jews were angry with him. And the scripture says he had a vision of this sheep that came down, and on it was all these kind of meats. And he was told to eat. And he said, look, I've never eaten any unclean meat. So the meat all of a sudden he was told, go ahead and eat it, it's all right. So some of us as Christians believe that we can eat any old nasty thing. And it's all right as long as it's meat, because the meat, came down from heaven, and Peter was told eat. It didn't mean meat. It meant teaching the gospel to the uncircumcised heathens and making them a part of the body of Jesus Christ. So here's Satan eating up people, and Jesus asking, get people and make them a part of my body. Well, now, brothers and sisters, most in this room are Christians. So if you're a Christian, you are a part of the body of Christ. Come on. Come on. You can't talk because you wonder where I'm going. I'm sneaking up on you. But look, if you and I put myself there with you, are the body of Christ, then Christ is our head. So if he's our head, then our thoughts, our speech, and our actions reflect what comes from our head. Stop right there. If we are liars and thieves and fornicators and adulterers and freaks and well-to-do dressed up thieves and liars Are we the body of Christ, or are we devoured by Satan? See, and if you look at what your hands do, they tell you what your brain thinks. So if our hands do the work of evil, then we have been devoured and have become a part of Satan's body, masquerading like we are part of the body of Jesus Christ. Now that's high deception. That kind of deception is so powerful that the people will believe that they are the body of Christ when in fact they're doing the work of Satan. They are dumb devils under the guidance of a wise Satan. Dumb devils under the guidance of a wise Satan. Satan is so wise, the book says, he can transform himself into an angel of light. That's powerful, brother. Because when you know the righteous and you know God, one of the things that you will always find in Scripture is that Satan is full of the knowledge of God. That's the only way he can deceive the people of God. Y'all all right? All right, I'm going to try to move quickly. Now, black people who were brought to these shores were not brought here to make us members of the body of Jesus Christ. We were brought here to be the burden bearers of the whites of this nation, not for a day, not for a year, but ad infinitum, in perpetuity, that we would belong to white people in every generation. And whether you like it or not, this is a giant plantation. And there's some of you that work downtown, and others of you work other places, and some are trying to find any job on the plantation. But whether you like it or not, this is still the plantation. The police are the overseers, making sure that the niggers act right. But it's getting so wild on the plantation, the police have to come with communication. Officer in trouble, need backup. Then they got a stick with steel in it. Then they got a Glock 9mm or something heavier. Then they got a taser. Then they got pepper spray. Damn, when you see somebody dressed like that, you have to ask yourself, where are we? This is a jungle, and we are the wild beasts, and they are to keep order on the plantation so that the master can keep on doing his business. Dumb devils and a wise Satan. Now, you know, I could not think of the kind of evil that I'm learning in the minds of some among our former slave masters and their children. So much so that the scripture has to ask the question, are the children any better than their fathers? See, now wait. Do you remember during the years of lynching, when they would cut off some of the fingers, the ears, the private parts of the slave and have it for souvenirs? I read in the New York Times recently that when they were fighting the war in Vietnam, they did the same thing to the Vietnamese. And that's 100 years difference in time, but it's the same action. So are the children any better than their fathers? Could it be that this is why the scripture says, prepare slaughter for the children for the iniquities of their fathers, even to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me? God talking. Now what you have to understand, my beloved black brothers and sisters, brown brothers and sisters, Native American brothers and sisters, poor people, dumb devils, manipulated by a wise Satan, that what kind of lifestyle you live sentences your future. Just say that I smoke crack. Just say. Just say. You'd be lying if you say, but we'll just say. If I smoke crack, the poison of crack that affects my brain and my system affects the head of the sperm. In the head of the sperm is intelligence. That is a manifestation of the presence of God. See? In your egg, you a crack smoker. Now you meet up with your crack smoking buddy. And even though the pleasure of crack, they say, is so much greater than sex, every now and then you want to get involved. And as you get involved, naturally, the sister may get pregnant. If she doesn't abort what is in her womb and carries it to term, she has a crack baby. So she has passed on her deviation to the innocent life that has just come on the planet. Its life is already shortened, its brain is already weakened, its system is already messed up because of what the parent did. So don't you ever think that what we do is just limited to us. The wickedness of our lives sometimes is paid for in our children. Some people ask, well, why should we live right? You should live right because that's the best way to live the life that God gave you. And that is what sets up blessings for you that live right. And sometimes those blessings will protect your children even when they don't want to do right. You have earned some blessings from your righteousness that can go down to your children. Brothers and sisters, listen. We have been devoured by a satanic mind. And the Bible says they had the mark of the beast in their forehead and in their hands. How can you drive by and shoot somebody you don't know, never did anything to you, but in order to be a part of the set or the gang, you kill an innocent person and go to Wendy's or go to McDonald's and say, I'm loving it? I just smoked a dude in the 3rd Ward. How could you do that unless you had the mark of the beast in your forehead and in your hands? How could a father lay with his own daughter and destroy her? How could a grandfather try to molest his grandchild, an uncle molest his niece, a brother molest his sister, if we did not have the mark of the beast in our forehead and in our hands? Satan is so clever. 30 or 40 years ago, 40 years, maybe 45 years ago, in my mother's house, I never saw my mother's underwear on any line. I know she washed her clothes, because to mom it was improper for any man to see the undergarments of the female. You didn't find her undergarments on the line, clothesline, before we had washing machines and dryers, that the next door neighbor could see the undergarments of the ladies that lived in the house next door. That was a no-no. There was a time, you know, women have more fat on the buttocks, hello, than men. And there was a time when women would not come out of the house without some type of foundation that made sure there was no wiggle and no jiggle to attract the attention of a man. Talk to me. Now look how Satan is working. If you want to take a nation down, the first person you take down is the woman. When you take the woman down, the man can't go up. He got to go down with the woman. Watch how Satan is working. Dumb devils and a wise Satan. Now, family, in the last 30 to 40 years, the satanic mind has been styling the clothes of the women. And once television came 45 years or so ago, Satan then could come right in your living room and become the teacher in your house. You go to church maybe once a week. You might go to Bible study on one of the evenings of the week, but the TV is on almost 24/7. And the filth that is coming over that television is stronger than the sermon that is preached on Sunday, heavier than the songs that the choir sings. And it is shaping the degenerate culture of America and the world. dumb devils, wise Satan. Now look how he has taken the nation down. He takes the female out of the home. That's a bad move. That's a bad move. It doesn't mean that the home is your place. It means that the home is your base. And if you don't know, sister, how to make a home, you'll never have a marriage. Because you don't know what to do with a man when you get him, and he surely don't know what to do with you. We got a messed up situation, a bunch of dumb devils and a wise Satan. Now watch how this goes. War takes place. We need the woman in the factories. Come out of the house. When I was a young boy, a little while ago, Mama would take me shopping with her, and I would watch her meticulously pick over the fruit and the vegetables. And she would ask the man at the meat counter, bring it out from under the lights and let me look at it. And she would choose the food that she would cook for her children. When we got home, I never went to school hungry. She was up before all of us, got the house ready, and the breakfast made. And when I sat down to eat, I went to school on a full stomach. And at 12 o'clock lunchtime, I could come home because it was a neighborhood school and there was a bowl of soup or something. Then I go back for the afternoon session. Mama was home. I used to watch. I didn't have a father, so I don't know what it's like to have a male in the house, but my mother was strong enough for 2 men or 3 men. So I never missed it. But I want you to hear and watch how the degrading started. Men used to leave the house with their lunch pail, and Mama would get up in the morning and make the sandwich for that man, and he would go out to work, because even though it may have been a poor paying job, it was a job, and the money at that time had more value than money has today. What you could buy for a nickel, a dime, or $1, you can't buy it today for $10. I remember when I started smoking, I could buy a pack of cigarettes for 15 cents. And then it went to 20 cents. I could go to a movie for 10 cents. That was a long time ago. And my mom, poor as she was, could give me a quarter on my birthday and say, go to the movies. And I would have enough money to get in the movies and enough money to get a little popcorn and even a little change left over with a quarter. Now, Mama didn't have much, but she was home. She went out to work sometime for white folks, cleaning their homes and whatnot, but she never left my home dirty. It was always clean. What am I saying to you? The moment the woman came out of the house, you helped to create another kind of business that put the home out of business. In other words, Mama used to make the cakes. Mama used to make the cookies. Mama used to make the candies. Mama used to make ice cream.
Say it.
See? Now, when Mama is not there, then you have these factories now that produce food, but you don't know how the food is being prepared. Somebody blowing their nose, you know what I mean? Scratching their butt and fixing your food. Go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands and come back and fix your food. See, if you can't see, you don't know. Now, as technology advanced, they could make fast stuff for you. Instant coffee, instant tea, instant oatmeal, even instant potato. Damn. Excuse me. But gradually, you, the female, were being taken away from what makes you who you are. Not only to yourself, but to your husband and to your children. Now you can have a pop-up this and a pop-in that. So everybody has a microwave. So you go and shop, but you don't shop to come home and cook. You shop to throw something in the microwave, and then you wonder why your children are bloated and why you are bloated, all in the midsection stretched out. You don't understand how poisoned you are. Dumb devils. And a wise Satan. Then he started taking off your clothes, sister. See, you had shame, so he had to do it by degrees. He shortened the skirt. It then came to the calf. Then he brought it up a little higher, just a little below the knee. Then he started bringing it up higher. Lord have mercy, the thigh is exposed. Now the child is coming to church with a short skirt on and have not learned how to sit. And the preacher is spying paradise on earth and can't preach his subject. And he don't have the strength to tell her, sister, I can't preach as good as I would like to looking at your thighs. See, because as men, we came out from that area. And it's natural that you want to return to where you came from. Now, the more you expose the woman, the more you lower the moral of the man. Because no man can look at the form of a woman and not be moved if he's a natural man. So when young ladies, young girls begin to see their breasts forming and their hips and bootylicious is absolutely magnificent, then the dress manufacturer take her out of a dress and put the woman in pants. But if you watch the way the pants are styled, if you look at a triangle with its base and a point, your eyes may start at the base, but they go to the point. You see the point? Now, when Satan reverses it, he gives you an inverted triangle with the breasts of the female as the base and the crotch as the point. And the man is walking the street and here you come. And your breast is jumping. Well, hell, any moving object is bound to attract a man's eye. And then his eye go from the base of the pyramid down to the point. And here we are living in each other's crotch like pigs in a slop trough. You can't see the storm clouds gathering. You can't hear the clap of thunder. You can't see the striking of the lightning of the end of a world, because Satan has made some dumb devil so he could keep on ruling the world with evil. I'm almost finished. Now you got the hip huggers on, baby. They don't make them no more to cover the hip. It's right on the top of the buns. Your underwear is in full view. And some of the sisters have lost so much shame. If you don't care if men see your underwear, you want them to see it. Take a look at this. How does this grab you, baby? What is all of that for? You're drawing attention to your form, to the beauty of who you are as a woman physically. But a man never gets acquainted with the beauty of who you are intellectually and spiritually, because he saw your behind and he saw your breasts, and that's what he wants. He does not know nothing about who you are, and he don't care. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, where there are no decent women, there are no decent men, for the woman is the mother of civilization. Dumb devils, wise Satan. He's reduced our women to temptresses, knowing or unknowing. You watch a football game, which is a rough game. Men like football. Well, I can't speak for men. I speak for myself. I like to watch a good football game. I like to watch basketball. I'm a sports enthusiast. But then there's the sisters. When there's a break, here she comes. I said, what the hell is that? I come to look at a basketball game and I got to look at her. I go to see a prize fight and here she come in the middle of the round. As though I need to see that to know it's the 5th round coming up. You allow Satan to drop you down to a thing, not the creature that God created. You are a thing to be used for pleasure and discarded like the rubbish of yesterday's trash. Dumb devils, wise Satan. Now the whole culture is gone to sex and madness and madness. Hip hop started in the South Bronx with young black men using the art form of the spoken word to transmit knowledge in a beautiful way of rhyme. And they were making money out of the trunk of their cars selling their records. Public Enemy was not produced by mass recording studios, KRS-One and all those conscious rappers. Then the money lenders and the corruptors came. They saw money. But they also saw if this rap continued in consciousness, the whole nation of black people would be awakened, particularly the youth. They know that our young people are the strongest generation that we have ever produced, so they must break the youth from the elder and then corrupt the youth. So the money lenders, wise Satan, just diverted rap from conscious rap to gangster rap, and then glorified the gun and the most vile aspect of black ghetto life. And then they took over all the radio stations. They belong to corporate America now. And the whole object of the radio stations have been no talk. So conscious talk, where you could listen to programs on the radio that would enlighten the community, warn the community, teach the community. Now it's, I want to get in your pants. I want to do this. I want to love you all night long. And oh, baby, you show 24/7. Then it's the gangster rap. I put a cap in you. You ain't no gangster, you's a wankster. And then glorifying beefs between one black artist and another, east against west, north against south. It's black against Puerto Rican. So when Fat Joe talks about lean back, now there's a beef with Fat Joe and 50 Cents, and we keep going, and our posses get involved in our madness, and even if we don't hurt each other, our posses begin to hurt each other, and the funeral parlors fill up, and the money on the rich man's coffers build up, and we become instant millionaires, calling our women bitches and whores. Dumb devils, wise Satan. Now, brothers and sisters, my teacher one day told me, son, he said, you can't fathom the depth of Satan. And when he told me that, I went home and studied it, and I knew that I was not qualified to handle Satan if I couldn't fathom his depth. He is so wise and artful in his ability to deceive and manipulate and take you off your course, that he even pledged to God in the Quran that he would come after the people of God right in the straight path of God, and he would make them all deviate. So we have Christian deviance, Muslim deviance, Jewish deviance, for Satan has come right in the straight path of God, right in the revelation that God sent down to reform the people, to transform their lives. They read a word, they hear a word, they sing the songs, but they go out and act in the same way. Dumb devils, wise Satan. Now here's how wise Satan is. America wanted the Spaniards out of the Western Hemisphere. The Spanish controlled Cuba. The Spanish controlled Puerto Rico. The Spanish controlled the Hawaiian Islands. How do you get them out? Well, let's propose that an American ship is blown up, killing American people on that ship, and we blame it on the Spanish as a predicate for war. And then we take what the Spaniards have and kick them out of the Western Hemisphere in the name of the Monroe Doctrine. Now follow me, brothers and sisters. Americans blew up that ship called the Maine, killed Americans, blamed it on the Spanish, and the Spanish-American War was fought, and Cuba became the playground. Puerto Rico and the Hawaiian Islands became the possessions of the United States of America. And if you have read when John F. Kennedy was the president of the United States and Fidel Castro overthrew Batista in Cuba and took over Cuba, the playground was lost. Now the question is, how do we get it back? And I have read that some of the members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said to President Kennedy, suppose we blow up a ship in Guantanamo Bay and say the Cubans did it as a predicate for war.
That's right.
John Kennedy turned it down. But look at the mind that would suggest something like that. Hitler did this. He burned the Reichstag in Germany. And then when that government building was burned, it was blamed on others. Then Hitler rose to power and then put into practice some draconian laws that gave him power to dictate to the German people. That's real. That's the mind of Satan. In 2000, Gore ran against Bush, and Gore lost, not because he lost the popular vote. He lost to a conservative Supreme Court. So on the way to his inauguration, when you usually play Hail to the Chief, people were holding up signs saying, Hail to the thief. And the country was greatly divided up to September the 10th. There was no unity among Democrats and Republicans up to the 10th of September 2001. September the 11th, the towers fell. Now you tell me how some airplanes flying into the towers, fully loaded with fuel, could burn the steel to such a point where the building would come straight down, like you see buildings when they are imploded with bombs or dynamite on columns here and there. $3,000 people dead. Who the hell cares if the country could be united behind their president and the treasure of the taxpayers could be raped to feed the military industrial complex, and a war could be manufactured? That's the mind of Satan. And we are the dumb devils that are deceived and don't know what's going on. Those terrible Arabs did this to us. They didn't know anything the day before. But 2 days later, pictures of 19 Saudis or 17 Saudis, 19 Arabs came up on television. They knew so much 3 days after, but they knew nothing the day before. Come on, brothers and sisters. Then they now say they did know something, but this agency didn't tell that agency, didn't tell this agency. So nobody in intelligence, that's what intelligence is all about, connected the dots. So when President Nixon was being impeached and tried, the prevailing question was, what did you know? And when did you know it? Now, if all these people knew something before, but they just didn't connect the dots, and they allowed that to go. But isn't it strange? The two towers were hit, but all three of the buildings came down. There was another small building. It came down. And nobody said nothing. And the man that owned it collected billions of dollars from insurance. People in the stock market became rich because they knew something and sold off their stock in American and United Airlines. And they tell me there was some rabbis on a roof nearby that were dancing, happy when they saw the building go down. And then the enemies of Israel could be attacked and destroyed using the most powerful army of the most powerful nation in the world. Oh, brothers and sisters, we have been greatly deceived. And the greatest deception of all, may I tell you? The most important man in the scriptures of the Bible is Jesus. There is no being more important in the eyes of God than that man, Jesus. In the Holy Quran, which is the book of scripture of the Muslims, and in Muslim traditions, the Muslims are not looking for anyone to return except Jesus. And he would be with the Mahdi when the Mahdi or the guide came. Now watch this. The most important woman in the Quran is Mary, the mother of Jesus. She's more important than the mother of Abraham, Moses, Muhammad himself. More important. Why is Mary so important that the angels were arguing with each other as to who would have charge over Mary? You got it? Jesus is so important because as Messiah, please hear, this is near the end. As Messiah, he has powers given to him that belong only to God. In the Quran, God is the life giver. That's one of his attributes. He's the raiser of the dead. He is the author of truth. He is the light. The Quran says of the Messiah that he would determine out of dust the form of a bird and breathe into it, and it would become a bird by God's permission. He would open the eyes of the blind, make the deaf hear and the dumb speak, and raise the dead to life by God's permission. When you see a man born of a woman that has that kind of power, then God is present in that man to work on behalf of God for the benefit of all human beings. So if you are Satan and you've made a world of dumb devils and have deceived the whole world, when Jesus comes, that is the end of Satan's world. Because if you read the scriptures, he's casting out demons out of the people. And the demons, as they were coming out, they were cussing Jesus. Then what are you doing? Messing with us before time. Well, he was on time. Well, if the Jesus that you love has come, how could you be a dumb devil in his name if you were truly touched by the word of Jesus the Christ? We have been deceived about the most important being, because he reconciles the human back to God, and he raises the human being to the position that God intended for us in the beginning. And in the Quran, that position is Khalifa, one who stands in the place of God and rules God's creation by God's permission. And the Bible said he created the man and the woman, male and female created he them, and called their name Adam, and they were made in the image and the likeness of God. Now look at what has happened to that which was made in the image and likeness of God. We have become dumb devils under the deceptive work of the arch-deceiving Satan. We didn't benefit from 9/11. President Bush did. The American people did not benefit from 9/11. The war machine did. The Iraqis now have cost the taxpayers of America, the war, $340 billion, and there's no end in sight. Nobody asked the question, where are we going to get the money from to fight the war? But when Katrina struck, the Congress is saying, where are we going to get the money from? Poor President Bush. He was so messed up. He had to bring T.D. Jakes with him to kind of wipe his backside, clean him up some. Let an anointed man of God stand next to a criminal. Now wait a minute, before you say that I'm off base, I ask a question to those listening and listening by radio. Did the president and his cabinet lie that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Did they lie to the American people? Now, question. Did they know they were lying? It has now come out that they already had a policy to go to war with Iraq, so they doctored the intelligence to fit the policy and then used Colin Powell because he would be believable to sell a lie and start a war. And thousands of young Americans are dead and dying and wounded by roadside bombs, their legs, their arms destroyed, their faces twisted. They are there in an atmosphere where bombs have been dropped that are filled with depleted uranium, and they're breathing that atmosphere, coming back home with different kind of diseases that they don't have an antibiotic for those bacteria. Lord have mercy.
Yes, sir.
That's a high crime and a misdemeanor for which the whole government should be set down. What did you know and when did you know it? And now in the wake of Katrina, it's all laid bare. America doesn't care for the poor. Bush and Kerry campaign, not one of them mentioned the poor. Now the poor are in the face of the world. This is not Darfur. This is not Rwanda. This is not Bosnia. This is the United States of America.
How much time? 2 minutes. But in 5 minutes,
Okay.
you can do that.
Go ahead, man.
So this is why we have to create a movement that ties together all black organizations, all our churches. We have to now focus on lifting our people from the valley of the shadow of death and lift them together. And this is why the Millions More movement is designed to tie the learned of our people to the struggle of the masses through a program that will allow their talent, their skills to be used to lift all of our people. But the moment I called, President called pastors and told them that they should not be a part of a movement that would save our people. Don't walk with Farrakhan. Yes. But please, brothers and sisters, you walk with me. If you know that what we are proposing is right, then you rise. You stand. Let's create a movement that will save our people. It's not Muslim, Christian, it's all of us together, for the flood doesn't give a damn whether you're a Muslim or Christian. Both houses were drowned out. So I'm asking all of you that are present, please mobilize in Houston. Not only for the day of, but for the day after. We need buses filled with black men and women, brown men and women, Native American men and women, poor men and women. Let us go to Washington and say to the government, that we are intending to repair the damage done by 300 years of chattel slavery 100 years of Jim Crow and lynching, and 50 years of governmental abuse of our leaders and our organizations working for our repair. We're going to take that responsibility on our shoulders, and whether you help us or not, God says He will help us if we do what He has asked. Now watch the covenant that we have to change, brothers and sisters. We got to stop being dumb devils and start becoming the body of the Christ. Now watch. The scripture says of the Quran, Allah, God, will never change the condition of a people until they change within themselves. So the change is not on the president. The change is not on the government. The change has to come from us. But look at how the Bible puts it. If my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then, he says, will I hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. Do we need a healing? Does America need a healing? Does the world need a healing? Then we got to stop being dumb devils and turn from our wicked ways so that God will forgive our sins and heal our land. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Now, brothers and sisters, before you leave, if you would like information as to how you can get on the bus, find out how much it costs. It's very little. 713-741-2747. 713-741-2747. And if you have an internet capability, it's www.millionsmoremovement.com. And if you would like a DVD or a CD of tonight's lesson or lecture, it's on sale in the lobby on your way out. But if you're not here and listening by radio, call this number, 713-741-2747, and we'll make this available. It's called Millions More Movement, Houston, Texas. Thank you, Minister Robert. Thank you, brothers and sisters. May Allah bless you all as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Brothers and sisters, if you just hold your place, you know, it's always important that we have traveling grace, so can we just hold your place? There's just a brief presentation, and I think that we should honor the man who honored us with his life in this time. Can you just be seated just for a second? Just for a second. Brother Minister, Texas Southern University would like to honor you. Where's our student government president? Where's she at? Come on up, Christina.
Good evening. My name is Sherelle Gillum. I am the External Vice President of the Student Government Association. Minister Farrakhan, we would like to thank you so much for coming here and gracing us with your knowledge and your wisdom. This is just a small token, but it's a token of our appreciation and our gratitude. And we want to encourage you to keep doing the fight for us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I want to say that this means more to me than a lot of things because it comes from our youth,
That's right.
which represents the great future of us as a people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
This is Christina Sanders. She is the SGA president, and this is her vice president, Sister Yola.
How are you? It's my honor.
What you need,
Thank
though,
you.
is the photo for the final call that they could all turn.
Oh, we have one more presentation to our very own Minister Muhammad. You are so awesome. You are awesome. Awesome. And we thank you. Thank you for being there for us all the time. We need you to speak at a function for us. You are always there for us. We want to thank you for coming to empower us. We need that so much, and we thank you. And we have a saying that we always remember when you tell us the blood is on your hands. And we have the knowledge now that you have given us. And we have to finish. We have to do what we need to do to be the best that we have to be. And we thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Yo, one more for Congressman Green. Congressman Green's office. He was here. This is Congressman Al Green's office. He couldn't be here tonight, but he's been a supporter even before the Congressional Black Caucus of the Millions More movement. Congressman Al Green, District 9, and we thank Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who was with us today early at the leadership meeting.
Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of Congressman Al Green and the 9th Congressional District, Congressman Green could not be here with us today as he's hard at work in Washington, D.C. for us. He's helping to prepare to receive us on October 14th through the 16th, the Millions More movement. So to let you know that your congressman is an avid supporter of the Millions More movement, and he wanted us to take copious notes and make sure that whatever the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan wanted and needed for the Millions More movement, to make sure that we make it happen. And I think that the brother deserves a round of applause for that, because very seldom do our politicians come out and walk with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in the light of the day. So this is a special certificate of special congressional recognition presented to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in honor of, listen to this you all, 50 years of service and dedication to the black community. 50 years the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has sacrificed to fight for freedom, justice, and equality for you and I. 50 years. Give it up, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.
I want to thank Congressman Green and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee for their wonderful support, not only of the Millions More movement, but their wonderful support of the communities that they represent. I am deeply, deeply troubled over the killing or the putting to death of our sister, Frances Newton, the other night. And I want to say to the state of Texas, please, you don't realize what you're doing by taking life as easily as you do, sometimes denying due process. And there is a price that you will pay for that. I don't know where Rita is going, but the Quran teaches us that whenever God sends you a messenger, then he seizes the people with distress and affliction that they might humble themselves. And the Quran says, one calamity after another. As fast as you think you're getting a leg up on one calamity, there'll be another one coming, until every knee bows and every tongue confesses, not that Satan is Lord, but that God is Lord of all. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, let's stand, let's close.